offer a lot of classes, they offer lots of opportunities. And in any case, you know, the life drawing class, that's something that that should be with you for a long time, you know. And like I remember this. I had taken a life drawing class, or a few years ago I was in a life drawing class at the Glendale Community College. And there was this guy that was sitting to my right. I'd look at his arm and I'd think, oh my God, it's horrible. You know, just continue drawing like and say, oh my God, it's really nice. And then it was a long commute, okay? Because at that point I used to live in Westwood, so that's a pretty long commute for that. So I stopped going for a while, for a good 1 year. And then a year later I came back. This guy was a rock star at that point. Yeah, I couldn't believe how much that guy, he developed his skill. Because he really was drawing like a high school kid, seriously, at that time. As a professional, that's, you know, it's not, you know. But that year, when I saw that, I was so inspired. I couldn't go back to the class, but, but I was inspired. Yeah. But find a class that's closer to you, and but the point is to continue something like that. Okay. So. Yeah, I think we spoke about this at fairly long length, but don't be able to do it. The second thing is this: companies are finished; it's gone, at least for the next 10 years, in my opinion. And it seems like that's what the general economy is telling as well. And it's a good thing. See yourself. I think we spoke about it the last time I was here. It was for a different reason, but it's better to see yourself as a solo enterprise. Even though you'll be working with the same group for many years. Trust me, this is very true. I hope you'll remember this 10 years from now. You know, you'll really, like, many of these guys, these groups, or this cluster will actually work together. It's better, even though all that is true, it's better to see yourself as a sole enterprise that is in business for yourself. So it's actually the worst thing to do to develop a company and company culture. It's a vile, horrible thing. It's always made fun of, right, in Billboard or in movies as well. But in the arts, in the games or art fields, I think it's horrible to be a Disney guy or DreamWorks person or Spark or anything. Like, it's just not cool. It just makes things out, and it just distorts reality. Is what happens. Because the reality is, because all those company-based feelings is just a mask. It's just a social tribal mask. Honestly, in my opinion, it's just it doesn't allow you to grow. It doesn't allow you to see yourself objectively, only subjectively, and it just screws up the entire the reality. It screws up the reality. So if you want to develop yourself, see yourself as project-centric. I recently met this animation director who told me that he's working in this company, and that's it, just for the project, on his terms. Like, that's all he wants to do. But at the end of the project, he'll figure out if he wants to work for the next project. This may not be an option for everybody. Okay, that's a disclaimer. But I do strongly feel that it is your choice. And the more you realize it's your choice, within a few years it will become your reality. And you will be treated differently as well. You won't be let go that fast. Because you may have learned this in school. The most powerful person is the one who has nothing to lose. If you project the fact that you don't care of being not without a job, you will actually have a longer span in that company. It's a very weird paradox again.
Make yourself seem valuable. It's the idea that I can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Lend my talent to them.
Yeah.
And, oh wait, no, we want to keep you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. As long as you can strike that balance between knowing that and making sure that you're committed to that project while that project is on,
yeah.
then you're good. You know? Many people have difficulty in trying to strike that balance by just seeming aloof, because that's not the idea at all, right?
Can have one foot out the door while
Yeah.
working.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I actually had a producer who would claim to have this, he would call it his life quote, and he would tell it to everybody. And just imagine how much of it, or how much of confidence it gave us. If the producer was saying that, you know, I'm here just to, actually that's my life quote, I'm just going, you know, that's not ideal. Yes, and he did. He went nowhere. 10 years later, he's really not, he hasn't, unfortunately, he hasn't done much. Maybe for other reasons, but it's an important thing to not be struck with the company. It's a strange thing I'm going to say, but it's. And finally, the classic pillars. This may sound very cheesy, but it's really true. And this is what actually is the best guarantee to have longevity in any economy or any company or I'm sorry, any, let's call it your career, not company, right? It's these four things. And the interesting quality about this is that if you have it, it really projects. You don't have to do anything to show them. As long as you internalize it, it'll just simply come through as your work, or your work will reflect a level of responsibility in the art. Your work and your relationship will reflect a sense of fairness to your peers. So you're not competing for his resources, his or her resources. Yeah? No, that's very important, because the worst thing you want is a jerk in the company. You know? And fortunately, the games industry is good. It's good that I haven't come across bad people. I can tell you very clearly. I've been very blessed to have worked with really strong comrades, and it's fantastic. I'd say 95% were great. But you never forget that 5%. But the trustworthiness is the other thing. And these two probably go hand in hand. When you take on something, just make sure that it is given back in a complete package. You know, just all the problems handled with tech support associated with it. And if something's wrong, just call me. That attitude. And any questions so far? After this card or something. Probably saving it for later. I think this is the last one. This is called. This is to all that we looked at, right? Rolls wonderfully into this, because if you this may not be the time where you are probably thinking about starting a company or not. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily important at this point, because I'd say that it's more important to first go out and have experience and know how it's done, things are done, and then a few years later see what you feel is right. And I'll tell you what's right. You will form a company. This will happen. Somebody, not all, someone. Maybe generally it comes to like a percent of people that does something like that. But if that happens, I'll tell you this. This is the thing that will actually make it happen for you. You know, the people you hang out with, and the people that you collect on the way, would be the reason why you might want to form a company, not just your idea. Sometimes things are just idea-based, like you get an idea and you want to form a company to create it. But generally, you find that you see a kinship between some group, a small group, and it gels into the company. Remember how I said, like, whenever when you're working, see yourself as a sole operator or sole enterprise. So technically, you're thinking as an entrepreneur. You're not seeing yourself as the glob or the what's that?
The Borg.
Borg, yeah. So you're not just part of the machine. See yourself as an independent entity that is attached to a project to create something for a certain period of time. It could be a few months or a year and a half. That's it. And then look at things from then on. But remember, that's a personal statement only. I'm not saying that's the truth. Okay? All these things you have heard is my point of view. Okay? So the thing that is I saw this very interesting poster here, and it just shows that you're in a very good atmosphere here. This one, and I saw a couple more in the hallway. It's clear that in this atmosphere of this school, you're being, like, the concept of or the importance of leadership and presentation is being conveyed or is being nurtured. Man, I wish I had that when I was in school. Because when I came out of school, I was nothing but a nerd. I still am, but the point is that is the important thing. Whether or not you're an entrepreneur, doesn't matter. Whether or not you become a lead, it doesn't matter. Just to be a complete human being, you need that skill. And otherwise, your work, it's like presenting, it's like the frame that holds the art, or the pedestal that holds the sculpture. You need the leadership skills, or your presentation, or the ability to express what you're thinking verbally to sum up your work. And that's very important to be an entrepreneur. So I'd say go take that class, or everything along those lines, as a supplemental thing in your program, because and I'm sure it should be natural for most of you, because it's not a big deal ultimately. It's just a matter of having a desire to want to do it while you're still damn busy with other things to do. It's really what it is. But that difference will be seen very soon. Because extrapolated for a few years, you'll see that the people who actually had more time presenting things probably would have a slightly different degree of success in taking their visions to a certain spot. So that's that. I think we'll see. Any questions? That's all I have to say.
You guys don't have any questions for him?
Next. Oh, thank you. Oh, I think I have. Straight. I thought I had a. Oh, yes. There we go. This is what I see. The games industry is, it's a beast that evolves with the technology. And where the technology goes is where the industry goes. And currently there are two very crucial things happening, and that's just radically changing this entire thing. First thing is that because you don't need to to burn a game into a disk and put it on a shelf, it simply entirely changed the concept of a publisher. So where, and I'm referring to broadband access or Xbox Live or all those direct to your own ability. So what this has done is this. And this gives you an idea of where the industry is going. It's actually spawning a lot of small studios. You remember the picture of the big fish swallowing the publisher? I mean the studios? Publisher. Yeah, it's actually the small fish eating up the publisher now, like piranhas. You know?
Yes.
It's true. It gives a lot of inspiration, and what is happening is that it's just opening up the doors for a lot of indie public game studios that are groups of about 3 or 4 people. Now, to fully answer your question, obviously I do not know the ultimate answer over there, but what's going to happen very soon, in my prediction is this: there's going to be a big shake-up in about 4 more years to see which one of these small groups actually was viable as a business and as an art creator. But generally, it's that. It is social network-based games. That's what it is. And it's being delivered to you by your friendly, internet service provider, basically. And so broadband access, and especially just imagine in 5 more years, the broadband access would be far more on the planet, and I think the capabilities also would be, the bandwidth also would be larger. So everything is about, the future is all about social network games, in my opinion. So, single player games is just, it's a niche, but it's not, it doesn't fully take advantage of the fact that the world is connected. So games will reflect that connectivity. And what I'm doing myself is, again, it's about social networked worlds for small kids. And I take great pride in the fact that I'm on the cutting edge. And there's a paradox in that, and yet I'm working with I don't need to work with the most sophisticated technology. I'm actually working with Flash, which is very simple, straightforward, gets to the point, and low overhead. So that also shows what the future is. Lots of grassroots-based companies. So if you have an idea, it's a great place to always express it. Games industry.
How do you feel about on live, and do you think that's going to take off? On live, that new thing that they showed at E3, where you don't have to have a really kick-ass computer or a really nice machine to run games. You can just go onto the website essentially and play the game from there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't see that. Unbelievable, I was not at E3. So I missed out. Was there this other thing that was shown? What's that? Yes.
Yes.
Oh, is that the algorithm-based art?
It's motion sensor. It takes the way to the next level, kind of motion sensor. Your body's a bit smaller.
I see. Oh. See, this is. I think. Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's just a personal opinion. Like my personal opinion is that is going to be a huge thing for a certain population, because I think the moment, like Wii is such a Wii-based anything. Let's say it's baseball or something. You're basically simulating something that through the whole action that you should be doing out there. It just throws to the concept that you're trying to just recreate a game to play with your mind and with your fingers. But no, it's the whole thing. Might as well go out there. But and yet it's not. So therefore, there's a clue. There's a clue there that we would most likely be doing. Like if I could project what I would do with that kind of technology, I would actually make super games, like super baseball, like moon-based baseball or football based on moon, where everything is amplified like crazy. Where so that's using technology and the full physique and physicality of the action itself. So that's just me. but I can totally see how those kind of technologies are just waiting for the right creator to just latch onto it. But yeah, it's definitely like I feel like it's very it's going to be very hands-on, especially with the eye.
How do you feel about stuff like Xbox Live, or like what was the PlayStation 3 equivalent of that, Homes or whatever?
Yes.
That type of thing where they take even single-player games and they network them in the sense of achievements, in the sense of stat comparing.
Yes.
And that's a one-player game that you play alone that you can now compare with other people.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the key word there is that it's social. There is some component of the human mass coming into it.
Yeah.
So that's that actually is a fantastic way of not really being a multiplayer thing, because it's very expensive and very, the amount of work it takes to make a multiplayer game is very large. But it's a quasi-multiplayer game. It's like 2.5D.
Right.
It's like 2.5D applications. It's something like that. But yes, that's another smart way of using the broad connectivity. Yeah, it makes sense.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I got one. I've heard instructors tell us a couple of things about interviews, do's and don'ts. What's your point of view when it comes to interviews, face to face, and what should we not say? What should we not do?
Don't listen to the person who talks to the interview clock.
That's step one.
The thing is, I've noticed my colleagues say a lot of things, and I realize that some of the things I agree with, and some things I don't agree with. So it's very, you'll find that some people are more, like there may not be a common set of things. Like my level of tolerance is very different. And like I'm more accommodative, generally. But some of my colleagues I notice are like, oh, I didn't like the way he dressed. I'm like, who cares? Why does that matter? Or oh, this is my favorite one. Like, I didn't like how they edited his. No, I'm sorry. I didn't like the cover jacket of the DVD. Or I'm like, who cares? It doesn't matter. I just want to see the content. And so there is a level of tolerance that's different, but having said that, I'd say that, to give you something more detailed, I'd say that I've noticed that when you come to an interview, people who project a level of professionalism from the way they dress to like a thank you note at the end, like that is sent a day later, right? That completes a whole circle of a professional demeanor, generally gets the job. Because you'll see that if you have an interview and just you leave, right? And if you don't send that note, it's not because that note suddenly made you great, but it's more like that note just created that extra seal, like, oh, this person is professional. So if you can create that level of professionalism, that would be the best thing. Everything else would be seen on your video. Everything else doesn't really matter. And like if I was interviewing you, and it doesn't really matter to me that you know a lot about the games industry, really, because firstly, I would think that you're probably like me, who's shy, and that when the time comes, it'll manifest. And I don't expect the walking, as a blabber style. No, it doesn't matter, and if that happens, great. But I don't expect that. But I think that matters probably would be the demeanor. So that's an important thing. And the second thing is a level of self-assuredness. But now that's not something you can learn. You have it, you don't, or you train over time. But still, the vibe is a big thing. Getting the vibe check, and it's a big thing. And people may not talk about it because we are forbidden. Because you're not supposed to make any judgment about any vibe. Like, seriously. And yet, on a human level, it is important. So, that's something to be sensitive to. But fortunately, this is California. you know, it doesn't matter as much. You know, like this, a lot of things can happen here that won't pass even probably the state border, but it doesn't, you know. So, but we are in a very relaxed society, so it's the level of general tolerance is a lot better.
Remember, the interview is just a personality test. Before you ever get the interview, your portfolio goes there. They've already seen your works. It's just a matter of just jumping through the hoops. It's the final way to say this is the face that goes with the artwork. What kind of attitude do they have? Could have the best portfolio, be a total ass. And then we get hired.
You know, actually, you just said something that reminded me. Yes, actually, there were many cases where some people were actually rejected just because they seemed like a prima donna. And that was such a bad vibe already that people actually could not take the person. And I thought that was unfortunate because I would have taken, because I don't, for me that's, like I said, I have a slightly different attitude about things, but I've known that that is a big deal. Because if someone comes across as, oh, he just came out of school, or he or she came out of school, but kind of felt like a high maintenance person, finished, it's over. So that's a big thing to keep in mind. So even if you are such a person, just tone it down just for the couple hours. And hence the acting course.
Any other questions? All right, let's give another clap.